The morning shift at Rosie's diner starts the same way it always does. Elena Martinez wipes down the counter with practiced efficiency, her hands moving in smooth circles across the worn Formica. The scent of burnt coffee and bacon grease hangs in the air, familiar and oddly comforting. She's been working here for 3 years, ever since she moved to Chicago, and she knows every crack in these floors, every sticky booth, every temperamental burner on the ancient stove. Her fingers are pruned from dishwater, and there's a stain on her apron that won't come out no matter how many times she scrubs it. But the tips are decent, and Frank, the owner, doesn't mind that she can't hear the bell when orders are up. He just flashes the lights twice, and she knows to check the window. Elena glances at the clock. 7:45 a.m. The morning rush will hit in 15 minutes. She moves to refill the napkin dispensers, her sneakers squeaking against the linoleum. Through the window, she can see the street coming alive. Commuters rushing to the L train, a homeless man pushing a shopping cart. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. The usual soundtrack of the city that she experiences through vibration and movement rather than sound. She doesn't miss hearing. Not anymore. She lost it at 12. Meningitis that the free clinic caught too late. Her mother cried for months, convinced Elena's life was over before it began. But Elena learned. She adapted. She reads lips better than most people read books, and her peripheral vision is sharp enough to catch a hand wave from across a crowded room. What she does miss is the easy connection, the casual conversations that happen without effort, the way hearing people can call out to each other across a space, can laugh at a joke told from another room, can exist in the world without constantly proving they belong in it. A vibration runs through the floor. Elena looks up. A black SUV pulls up outside, idling at the curb. Expensive. The kind of car that doesn't belong in this neighborhood. The windows are tinted so dark she can't see inside, but she can feel the weight of it, the presence of something that doesn't quite fit. She turns back to her work, not her business. The door opens, bringing in a gust of October wind that makes the bell jingle. 3 men walk in, mid-20s, wearing Greek letters on their jackets. Fraternity brothers from Northwestern, probably. They're loud in the way only privileged college boys can be, taking up space like they own it, sliding into the corner booth with an arrogance that makes Elena's jaw tighten. She grabs her notepad and pen, painting on her customer service smile, and approaches their table. The tallest one looks up at her, his eyes traveling slowly down her body in a way that makes her skin crawl. She's used to it. Part of the job. She holds up her notepad, pointing to the laminated menu card clipped to it that reads, "Hi, I'm deaf. I read lips. Please speak clearly and I'll take great care of you." The guy smirks. He turns to his friends and says something. She catches fragments. Serious? Can't even. They're laughing. Elena keeps her smile in place. It's not the first time. Won't be the last. She points to the menu again. Patient. Professional. The tall one leans back, crosses his arms. His lips move slowly, exaggerated, mocking. Can you understand me? His friends crack up. One of them pulls out his phone, angling it toward her. Recording. Heat rises in Elena's chest, but she keeps her composure. She's dealt with worse. She writes on her notepad, "What can I get you?" and holds it up. The second guy, blonde with a backwards baseball cap, grabs the notepad from her hands. She reaches for it, but he holds it away, showing it to his friends like it's a trophy. They're howling now, slapping the table. Elena's smile finally drops. She holds out her hand, steady, waiting for him to return her property. Her heart is racing, but her face is calm. She won't give them the satisfaction. The third one, dark hair gelled within an inch of its life, picks up his water glass. His intention is clear before he even moves. Elena sees it, sees the cruelty in his eyes, but she's trapped between the booth and the wall, and there's nowhere to go. He throws the water in her face. The shock of cold steals her breath. Water drips from her hair, her eyelashes, soaking through her uniform. The 3 of them are bent over laughing, the one with the phone making sure to capture every second of her humiliation. Through the blur of water in her eyes, Elena sees Frank emerging from the kitchen. His face is red, mouth open, yelling something at the boys. But they're not looking at him. They're still laughing at her. She wipes her face with her apron, blinking away the water. Her hands are shaking now, rage and shame mixing into something that makes her throat tight. She wants to scream at them, wants to tell them exactly what entitled, cruel, pathetic wastes of space they are. But the words stick. They always stick. Because what's the point? They won't listen. They never do. The tall one throws a wadded-up napkin at her. It bounces off her chest. Fetch. His lips form the word, clearly, deliberately. That's when the temperature in the room changes. Elena feels it before she sees it. A shift in the air pressure. A heaviness that makes her stomach drop. The front door is opening again. And even the fraternity boys stop laughing. The man who walks in shouldn't be able to command a room just by entering it. But he does. He's tall, well over 6 feet, with dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. His suit is charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, the kind that costs more than Elena makes in 6 months. But it's not the clothes that make people notice him. It's the way he moves, controlled, purposeful, like a predator who's never had to rush because nothing has ever escaped him. 2 men follow him inside, equally well-dressed, equally dangerous-looking. They flank him like shadows, their eyes scanning the diner with professional efficiency. The man in the charcoal suit stops 3 feet inside the door. His eyes, dark and unreadable, sweep the room. They land on Elena, soaking wet and trembling with suppressed fury. Then they move to the 3 boys in the booth, to the phone still recording, to the water glass on the table. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. He signs something. His hands move with fluid precision, and Elena's brain takes a second to register what she's seeing because it's so unexpected, so impossible, that she almost thinks she's imagining it. Are you all right? Perfect American Sign Language. Not the stilted, awkward signing of someone who learned a few phrases. Natural, fluent. Elena stares at him. The entire diner has gone quiet. Even Frank has frozen behind the counter. She signs back automatically, her hands shaky. I'm fine. His eyes narrow slightly. He doesn't believe her. His gaze shifts back to the 3 boys, and something in his expression makes them shrink back against the booth. He walks toward them. Not quickly. He doesn't need to. Every step is measured, and the 2 men behind him move in perfect synchronization, blocking any potential exit. The tall fraternity boy tries to muster his earlier bravado. Dude, we were just... The man in the suit doesn't let him finish. He reaches down and picks up the phone that's still recording. The boy doesn't try to stop him. Nobody moves. He watches the video. His face betrays nothing, but Elena sees his knuckles whiten around the phone. When he looks up, his voice is quiet. Elena can't hear it, but she can see the effect it has. The 3 boys go pale. He signs to Elena again, his eyes never leaving the boys' faces. Do you want to call the police? She shakes her head quickly. Police mean statements, mean her broken English in written form, mean explaining over and over what happened, mean nothing changing. The man nods once. He understands. He turns back to the boys and says something that makes all 3 of them go from pale to gray. Then he does something Elena doesn't expect. He hands the phone back to its owner. The boy takes it with trembling hands. The man signs again, and this time he's not asking. Delete it. Now. All copies. The boy with the phone fumbles with it, his fingers clumsy with fear. He shows the screen to the man. Deleted. Cloud backup. The man signs, his face impassive. More fumbling. More deleting. The other 2 are sitting rigid, hands flat on the table like they're afraid to move. When the man seems satisfied, he reaches into his jacket. All 3 boys flinch, but he just pulls out a wallet, removes several crisp $100 bills, and places them on Elena's notepad, which still sits on the table where the blonde boy dropped it. He signs to her, "For your trouble, and your time." Elena doesn't know what to do. She's never had anyone defend her like this, never had someone who understood, who spoke her language, who looked at her with something other than pity or contempt. The man turns to Frank, who's watching the whole scene with wide eyes. He says something, gestures to the boys. Frank nods vigorously, pointing at the door. The 3 fraternity brothers scramble out of the booth, tripping over each other in their haste to escape. They practically run out of the diner. And through the window, Elena sees them scatter in different directions, not even getting into the same car. The silence that follows is deafening, even for her. The man turns back to Elena. Up close, she can see details she missed before. A thin scar through his left eyebrow. Eyes so dark they're almost black, the faint shadow of stubble along his jaw. He's probably mid-30s. But there's something ancient in his gaze, something that's seen too much. He signs, "I apologize that I didn't intervene sooner. I was watching from outside." Elena's hands move before her. Brain catches up. "Why were you watching?" The corner of his mouth lifts. Not quite a smile, but close. "I was deciding if I wanted coffee from here or the place down the street. I'm glad I chose here." He's lying, or not telling the whole truth. Elena can read people well enough to know that. But she doesn't call him on it. One of the men behind him clears his throat. The man in the suit glances back, receives some kind of silent communication, and nods. He signs to Elena, "I need to go, but I want to make sure you're truly okay." "I am," she signs back. Then, because she has manners even when she's soaked and shaken, "Thank you." "Don't thank me," he signs. "You deserved better than that." His hands pause, then continue. "You deserve better than this place." Before Elena can process what that means, he's turning away. He says something to Frank, who nods again, still looking somewhere between terrified and awed. Then he's walking toward the door, his men falling into step behind. At the threshold, he pauses, turns back, catches Elena's eye. He signs one more thing. "What's your name?" "Elena." Her hands form the letters. He signs back. "Dominic." Then he's gone, the door closing behind him with a soft chime of the bell. Through the window, Elena watches him slide into the back of the black SUV. It pulls away from the curb smoothly, disappearing into traffic. Frank appears at her elbow, his lips moving rapidly. She catches, "Okay?" "Those punks. Who was that guy?" Elena shakes her head. She doesn't know. Some good Samaritan who happened to know sign language. Some wealthy businessman who couldn't stand injustice. Some random person who'll go back to his life and forget this ever happened. She looks down at the notepad in her hands. The $100 bills are still there. She counts them. $500 for 10 minutes of humiliation. Her hands are still shaking. Frank touches her shoulder gently, and when she looks at him, he signs slowly, carefully. "Go home, clean up, come back tomorrow." Elena wants to argue. She needs this shift, needs the money, but she's soaked through, and her hands won't stop trembling, and she can still feel the phantom splash of water on her face. She nods, grabs her coat from the back. Frank presses her tips from yesterday into her hand, even though it's against policy to get them before the end of the week. She sees the pity in his eyes and hates it, but she takes the money anyway. The walk to her apartment is only 6 blocks, but it feels like 60. Every person who looks at her soaked uniform makes her want to disappear. She keeps her head down, arms wrapped around herself against the cold. Her apartment is a studio on the 4th floor of a building that should have been condemned a decade ago. The radiator clanks but barely produces heat. There's a water stain on the ceiling that grows a little bigger every time it rains. But it's hers. $2,200 a month, utilities included, and she's never missed a payment. She drops her coat on the floor and heads straight for the shower. Stands under water as hot as she can stand, scrubbing her skin until it's pink, washing her hair 3 times. By the time she gets out, her fingers are wrinkled and the bathroom is thick with steam. She wraps herself in her threadbare robe and sits on her bed. The $500 is still in her pocket. She pulls it out, spreads the bills on her comforter. $500. She could pay her electric bill, which is 2 weeks late. Buy groceries that aren't ramen and canned soup. Get her one good pair of work shoes resold. Maybe even save a little. But it feels wrong. Like accepting payment for her humiliation. Like agreeing that what happened to her has a price. Her phone buzzes. Text from Frank. "Take tomorrow off too. Paid." Elena stares at the message. Frank has never given her a paid day off. Never given anyone a paid day off. The diner barely makes enough to stay open. Another text. "That man stopped by again. Left envelope for you. Said to give it to you tomorrow." Her heart does something complicated in her chest. She types back. "What man?" "The one from this morning. The suit." Elena's fingers hover over the keyboard. She wants to know what's in the envelope. Wants to know why Dominic came back. Wants to know why a man who drives a car worth more than she'll make in a lifetime knows sign language and intervenes in the problems of deaf waitresses. But mostly, she wants to know why his eyes looked so sad when he signed, "You deserve better than this place." She doesn't text back. just sets her phone aside and lies back on her bed, staring at the water stain on the ceiling. Outside her window, the city moves on. Cars honk, people shout, sirens wail in the distance. The usual symphony she experiences through the rattle of her windows, the vibration of her floor. She doesn't notice the black SUV parked across the street. Doesn't see the man, in the driver's seat watching her building with the patience of someone who's used to waiting. Dominic Costello doesn't do impulse. Everything he does is calculated, planned, executed with precision. That's how you survive in his world. That's how you build an empire. But watching that girl get water thrown in her face did something to his carefully maintained control. Cracked it right down the middle. He'd been sitting in his car, reviewing contracts on his tablet, when he'd seen her through the diner window. She'd been smiling, that practiced customer service smile he recognized from 1,000 service workers who dealt with assholes every day. But there was something about her. The way she moved. Efficient, graceful despite the stained apron and worn sneakers. Then he'd seen the boys, seen the phone, seen the water, and he'd seen Red. Marcus, his driver, had actually jumped when Dominic opened the door. "Boss? Wait here," Dominic had signed. Marcus knew ASL. All his inner circle did. It was a requirement, discretion above all else. Walking into that diner had been stupid, dangerous, even. He was meeting with the Antonelli family in 2 hours to negotiate territory rights, and getting involved in a public altercation was the last thing he needed. But he'd done it anyway, because she'd been standing there, soaking wet and shaking, and nobody was helping her. Because he knew what it felt like to be powerless. Because something in her eyes had reminded him of his sister, Sophia, dead 12 years now. She'd been deaf too, from birth. And the world had been cruel to her in ways that still made Dominic wake up with his fists clenched. He'd avenged her. Eventually, the boys who'd hurt her had disappeared, and their families learned what it meant to cross Dominic Costello. But revenge didn't bring her back. Nothing brought her back. So when he'd seen Elena, when he'd watched those privileged little shits treat her like she was less than human, something old and cold had woken up in his chest. He'd been too late to save Sophia. But he wasn't too late for Elena. Now, sitting in his car across from her building, Dominic reviews what he knows. He'd had his people run her information. Elena Martinez, 26, originally from Texas, moved to Chicago 3 years ago. Works 2 jobs, the diner and weekend shifts at a laundromat. No criminal record, no family in the state. Pays her rent on time, keeps to herself, clean, normal. The kind of person who has no business being on his radar. "Boss," Marcus signs from the front seat. "We need to go. Meeting's in 90 minutes. Dominic doesn't move. He's watching the window of what he now knows is Elena's apartment. 4th floor, 2nd window from the left. The light is on. "Boss." Marcus tries again. "I know." Dominic signs back. But he still doesn't move. His phone buzzes. Text from Vincent, his second in command. "Antonellis are getting restless. We need you here." Dominic types back. "On my way." He takes one last look at the building. Makes a decision that he'll probably regret but can't seem to stop himself from making. New assignment. He signs to Marcus. "I want someone on this building. 24/7. Discreet." Marcus's eyebrows rise slightly, but he doesn't question it. Never does. The girl from the diner? The girl from the diner. Any particular threats we're watching for? Dominic thinks about the 3 boys with their phone and their water glasses. Stupid college kids with hurt egos. But also standard protocols. "I want to know if anyone unusual shows interest in her." Marcus nods, already texting someone. "Done. Rotation starts tonight." "Good." Dominic finally leans back in his seat. "Let's go. The Antonellis can't start without us." The SUV pulls away from the curb smoothly, sliding into traffic. Dominic doesn't let himself look back at the building. He's got an empire to run, territory to negotiate, money to move. He doesn't have time to obsess over a deaf waitress who happened to remind him of his sister. Except he knows he's lying to himself. Because something about Elena Martinez has gotten under his skin, and Dominic Costello didn't get where he is by ignoring his instincts. His instincts are currently screaming that this girl is important, that she's going to change everything, that he's already too late to walk away. And for the first time in 12 years, since the night Sophia died in his arms, Dominic feels something other than cold calculation. He feels protective. And in his world, that's the most dangerous thing of all. Elena doesn't sleep well. She keeps replaying the moment over and over, the water hitting her face, the laughter. And then Dominic, signing to her with hands that moved like he'd been speaking her language his whole life. She's up before dawn, restless energy pushing her out of bed. The $500 sits on her nightstand, mocking her. She takes it and tucks it into an envelope, addresses it to her mother back in Texas. Her mama needs it more than Elena's pride needs protecting. By 6 a.m., she's dressed and heading to the diner even though Frank told her to take the day off. She needs normal, needs routine, needs to prove to herself that what happened yesterday doesn't define her. The streets are quiet this early, just delivery trucks and the occasional taxi. The October air bites through her jacket. Elena pulls it tighter, her breath forming small clouds that she can't hear but can see. She's half a block from the diner when she notices the car. Black sedan, tinted windows, parked across the street with the engine running. She's lived in Chicago long enough to know when something doesn't fit. This doesn't fit. Elena keeps walking, but her heart rate picks up. She glances back. The car doesn't move, but she can feel eyes on her, watching. She's being paranoid. Has to be. Yesterday was traumatic, and now she's seeing threats everywhere. But when she reaches the diner, she looks back again. The car is still there. Frank is already inside, prepping for the morning rush. His eyes widen when he sees her, and he immediately starts signing. I told you to stay home. I'm fine. Elena signs back. I need to work. Frank studies her face, then nods slowly. He disappears into the back and returns with a white envelope. From yesterday, the man in the suit. Elena takes it. Her name is written on the front in elegant script. Inside, there's a business card and a handwritten note. The card is simple. Embossed black letters on cream cardstock. Dominic Costello, Private Investments. A phone number. Nothing else. The note is written in the same elegant handwriting. Elena, if you ever need anything, and I mean anything, call this number, day or night. No obligation, no expectations. Just know that you have someone who will help. Elena reads it 3 times. It's kind. Almost too kind. Men like Dominic Costello don't give their personal numbers to waitresses. They meet once. Don't promise help with no strings attached. He came back twice yesterday. Frank signs. After you left. First time, he talked to me for a while. Asked about you. How long you'd worked here. If you had family. If those boys ever bothered you before. Elena's stomach tightens. What did you tell him? The truth. That you're a good worker. That you keep to yourself. That you deserve better than what happened. Frank pauses, his hands hesitant. He paid your rent. Elena's world tilts. What? Your rent. For the next 6 months. He asked your landlord how much it was. Wrote a check right there. Said you weren't to know it was from him, but... Frank shrugs. I don't keep secrets from my people. You should know what he did. 6 months rent. That's $13,200. More money than Elena has saved in her entire life. She signs, but she's not sure if she's asking Frank or the universe. I think he feels responsible, Frank signs, for not stepping in sooner. That's insane. He doesn't owe me anything. Try telling him that. Frank's expression is serious. Elena, I don't know who that man is, but I know power when I see it, and I know danger. Whatever he's offering, think carefully before you accept. Elena clutches the card in her hand. She should throw it away. Should pretend yesterday never happened. Should go back to her normal life and forget about dark-eyed men in expensive suits who sign like poetry. But she tucks the card into her apron pocket instead. The morning shift passes in a blur. Elena serves coffee and eggs, smiles at regulars, avoids thinking about the black sedan she saw earlier. Every time the bell over the door chimes, her eyes dart up, half expecting to see Dominic walk in. He doesn't, but at 10 a.m., 3 men do walk in. Not college boys this time. These men are in their 30s, rough around the edges, with the kind of eyes that have seen violence and liked it. They sit at the counter. Elena approaches with her notepad, pointing to her card about being deaf. The man in the middle, beard stubble and a scar across his knuckles, grabs her wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop her from pulling away. He says something. She can't read his lips because he's barely moving them, speaking low and deliberately unclear. Elena tries to pull her hand back. His grip tightens. The man on the left pulls out his phone, shows her a video. It takes Elena a second to recognize what she's seeing, and then her blood runs cold. It's her. Yesterday. Water dripping from her face. The video those boys took before Dominic made them delete it. Except clearly, they didn't delete everything. The man with the scarred knuckles leans forward. This time his lips are clear. "We need to talk to you about your boyfriend." Elena shakes her head. Signs. "I don't have a boyfriend." He laughs. Looks at his friends. "The guy from yesterday. Dominic Costello. We need to know where he lives." Elena's confusion must show on her face because the man's expression hardens. "Don't play stupid. We know he gave you his card. We know he paid your rent. We know he's been watching your building. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to call him, tell him you need to see him, get him to meet you somewhere public, and then you're going to walk away while we have a conversation with Mr. Costello. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one." Elena's heart is pounding so hard she can feel it in her throat. She shakes her head again, more forcefully. The man's grip on her wrist becomes painful. "This isn't a request. Let her go." Elena looks up. Frank is standing at the kitchen window, and he's holding a baseball bat. His face is red, hands shaking, but his voice must be firm because the three men tense. The one holding Elena releases her wrist slowly, stands, says something to Frank that makes the old man's face go pale. Then they're walking toward the door, but the man with the scarred knuckles pauses at the threshold, turns back, catches Elena's eye. His lips form words slowly, deliberately. "Tell Costello the Bratva sends their regards. And tell him we always collect our debts." They leave. The bell chimes. Elena realizes she's shaking. Frank is beside her immediately, signing. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" Elena shakes her head, but her wrist is throbbing where the man grabbed her. "Who's the Bratva?" Frank's face answers before his hands do. "Russian mob. Elena, you need to leave Chicago. Today." "What? Why?" "Because Dominic Costello isn't just some wealthy businessman. He runs the Italian families on the South Side. And if the Russians are using you to get to him, you're in more danger than you can imagine." Elena's knees feel weak. She sits down hard on one of the stools. "Dominic Costello. Mafia boss. The man who signed to her with gentle hands and sad eyes runs the Italian mob. Of course he does. Nothing else makes sense. The way people reacted to him, the security detail, the casual. A way he paid 6 months of her rent, like it was pocket change." "I need to call him," Elena signs. "Absolutely not. You need to." "They have a video of me, Frank. They know where I work, where I live. They're not going to just leave me alone." Elena pulls out the business card, her hands steadier than she feels. "If I'm already in danger, I need to know why." She texts the number on the card. "This is Elena from the diner. 3 men just threatened me. Said they're Bratva. Said to tell you they always collect their debts. The response is immediate. Where are you?" "Still at the diner." "Stay there. I'm 10 minutes away. Don't go anywhere alone." Elena looks at Frank. He's coming. Frank closes his eyes, sighs heavily. When he opens them, he signs. "I'm staying with you until he gets here." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do. You're my employee. My responsibility." Frank manages a weak smile. "Besides, my wife always said I'd die doing something stupid. Might as well be protecting one of my people." 7 minutes later, 2 black SUVs pull up outside the diner. Dominic exits the first one, followed by 4 men who fan out immediately, scanning the street with professional efficiency. He walks into the diner like he owns it. Maybe he does. Elena doesn't know anymore. His eyes find her immediately. He crosses the space in seconds, his hands already moving. "Are you hurt?" "No." She signs back. "Just scared." "Where did they touch you?" Elena holds up her wrist. There are red marks forming, the clear outline of fingers. Something in Dominic's expression goes very still, very cold. He takes her hand gently, examines the bruises with the kind of attention that makes Elena's chest tight. "Describe them," he signs. Elena does. Physical descriptions, what they wore, the scar on the man's knuckles. Dominic's jaw gets tighter with each detail. When she's done, he signs. "They showed you a video?" "From yesterday, the The one you made them delete. They uploaded it before I made them delete it. I should have anticipated that. Dominic's hands pause, then continue. I'm sorry. This is my fault. How is this your fault? Because I involved myself in your life. Because I paid attention to you in public. Because in my world, that's the same as painting a target on your back. He looks at her with those dark, sad eyes. I was trying to help. Instead, I made everything worse. Frank clears his throat. Dominic looks at him, says something. Frank responds, his face serious. They go back and forth for a moment. And then Dominic turns back to Elena. You can't stay at your apartment, he signs. It's not safe. Where am I supposed to go? With me. I have a house with security. You'll be protected until I resolve this situation. Elena shakes her head immediately. I don't even know you. I know. And I know how this sounds. But Elena, the Bratva doesn't make empty threats. If they think you're important to me, they will use you. They will hurt you. And I can't. His hands falter for the first time. I can't let that happen. Why do you even care? You don't know me. Dominic is quiet for a moment. Then his hands move slowly, carefully. I had a sister, Sophia. She was deaf. And when she was 22, some men hurt her because they thought it would hurt me. They were right. But I was too late to save her. I'm not too late for you. Elena's breath catches. The raw pain in his expression is real. This isn't manipulation. This is someone who's lived with regret for so long it's become part of him. I don't want to upend your life, Dominic continues. I don't want to force you into anything. But please, let me keep you safe until this is over. And how long will that take? A few days. Maybe a week. The Bratva is playing games, testing boundaries. I need to remind them why those boundaries exist. Elena looks at Frank, who signs. It's your choice. But he's right. You're not safe alone. She thinks about her apartment, the water, stain on the ceiling, the radiator that barely works, the loneliness that seeps in through the cracks. Then she thinks about waking up to find those men in her home, thinks about what they might do before Dominic could stop them. Okay, she signs, but I have rules. Dominic's eyebrows rise slightly. Such as? I'm not a prisoner. If I want to leave, I can leave. You don't make decisions for me without talking to me first. And this is temporary. Once the threat is over, I go back to my life. Agreed? A ghost of a smile touches his lips. Agreed. One more thing. I want the truth. About who you are, what you do, why the Russian mob wants to hurt you. Dominic's expression becomes unreadable. The truth might scare you. I'm already scared, at least if I know what I'm dealing with. I can make informed decisions. He studies her face for a long moment. Then he nods. All right, the truth, but not here, somewhere private. Your house? My house. Elena takes a deep breath, signs to Frank. I'll call you. Let you know I'm okay. Frank hugs her, which he's never done before. When he pulls back, he signs. Be careful. And remember, you're stronger than you think. Dominic offers her his arm. Elena hesitates, then takes it. His suit jacket is soft under her fingers, and she can feel the solid muscle underneath. One of his men opens the SUV door. The interior is black leather and tinted windows. Dominic slides in beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. As the car pulls away from the curb, Elena watches the diner disappear in the side mirror. Watches her normal life recede into the distance. She's not sure if she'll ever get it back. The drive takes 40 minutes. They leave the city, heading west into suburbs that get progressively more expensive. Wrought iron gates, manicured lawns, houses that could fit 5 of Elena's apartment buildings inside them. Finally, they turn onto a private road. More gates, security cameras visible in the trees. A guardhouse, where a man in a dark suit waves them through. And then the house. It's not a house, it's a mansion. 3 stories of stone and glass, surrounded by grounds that seem to stretch forever. There's a fountain in the circular driveway. A garage that's bigger than the building Elena lives in. The SUV stops at the front entrance. Dominic gets out, offering his hand to help Elena down. She takes it automatically, too overwhelmed to protest. Welcome to my home, he signs. A woman appears at the door, 50-something, with kind eyes and gray-streaked hair pulled into a bun. She signs as she speaks. You must be Elena. I'm Teresa. I manage the house. Mr. Costello asked me to prepare a room for you. Elena can only nod. Teresa leads her inside. The entryway alone is larger than Elena's entire apartment. Marble floors. A chandelier that probably costs more than she'll make in her lifetime. A staircase that curves up to the second floor. Your room is this way. Teresa signs, starting up the one. Stairs. Elena follows, acutely aware of Dominic behind her. The second floor is a hallway lined with doors. Teresa opens one near the end. This is you. Private bathroom. Closet is stocked with clothes in your size. If you need anything else, just ask. The room is beautiful. 4-poster bed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the grounds. A sitting area with a couch and bookshelf. Art on the walls that looks like it belongs in a museum. How did you know my size? Elena signs to Dominic. I estimated. If anything doesn't fit, Teresa can have it corrected. Elena walks to the window. The grounds are stunning. Gardens, a pool, trees that are turning gold and red with autumn. In the distance, she can see men patrolling. Security. She turns back to Dominic. The truth. You promised. He nods. Closes the door so Teresa can't see. Takes a breath. Then his hands start moving. And Elena learns exactly what kind of world she's just entered. My name is Dominic Costello. I'm the head of the Costello family, which controls most of the south side of Chicago. We run legitimate businesses, restaurants, construction, waste management, but we also handle things that exist in the gray areas of the law: protection, loans, territory management. Elena's heart is pounding, but she keeps her expression neutral. Mafia. Yes. My grandfather built this organization. My father expanded it. And when he died 8 years ago, it became mine. Dominic's hands are steady, matter of fact. I employ over 300 people. I make sure the businesses in our territory are protected, that the streets are safe, that justice happens when the legal system fails. You mean you're a criminal? By the letter of the law, yes. But I have rules. No drugs, no human trafficking, no hurting innocent people. The men who work for me know that crossing those lines means death. Elena processes this. It should terrify her. It does terrify her. But there's something about the way he's telling her, the unflinching honesty, that makes her believe he's not trying to paint himself as something he's not. The Russian mob, she signs. Dominic's expression darkens. There's a territory dispute. They want to expand into areas that have been ours for decades. I've been pushing back. Yesterday, they lost a major shipment weapons they were trying to move through O'Hare. That was my doing. So they're coming after you? Yes. And now they think you're a way to do that. Which means I need to make it very clear that touching you would be the last mistake they ever make. By doing what? Dominic's hands pause. You don't want to know the details. Yes, I do. If I'm going to be here, if I'm going to trust you, I need to know what you're capable of. He studies her face. Then I'm going to find the men who threatened you. I'm going to make sure they understand that you're under my protection. And I'm going to send a message to the Bratva that if they want a war, I'll give them one they can't win. People will die. Yes. Because of me. No. Dominic's hands are firm, emphatic, because they chose to threaten an innocent person to get to me, because they broke the rules of engagement. This was going to happen anyway, Elena. You're just the excuse they used to escalate. Elena sits down on the edge of the bed. Her legs feel shaky. This is insane. 24 hours ago, my biggest problem was making rent. Now I'm in a mansion owned by a mob boss who's about to start a war with the Russian Mafia. Dominic crouches in front of her so they're eye level. I know this is a lot. I know you didn't ask for any of it. If you want, I can arrange for you to leave Chicago entirely. New city, new identity, money to start over. You'd be safe, and you'd never have to see me again. Elena looks at him. Really looks at him. At the scar through his eyebrow, the shadows under his eyes that speak of sleepless nights, the way his hands move with such gentleness, even though she knows they're capable of violence. If I leave, what happens to you? I'll handle the Bratva the way I was always going to handle them. But they'll know they got to you. That threatening me worked. That doesn't matter. It does to you. I can see it in your face. Elena's hands move slowly, forming words she's not even sure she should say. You couldn't save your sister, so now you're trying to save me. But if I run, it's like losing her all over again. Dominic's jaw clenches. For a moment, Elena thinks she's crossed a line, but then his hands move. You're very perceptive. I have to be. I learned a long time ago to read what people don't say out loud. Elena takes a breath. I'll stay. Not because I'm afraid, though I am. And not because I need you to save me, though I clearly need protection right now. But because I think you need this. Need to prove to yourself that you can protect someone, that you're not too late. Dominic is very still. When his hands finally move, they're trembling slightly. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You still owe me the rest of the truth. How did you learn sign language? Why does a mob boss know ASL fluently enough to dream in it? A sad smile crosses his face. Sophia, my little sister. She was born deaf. And my father, he wasn't patient with her. Thought she was weak. So I learned. Became her interpreter, her protector, her bridge to the family. We were 7 years apart, but she was my best friend. What happened to her? Dominic's hands drop to his lap. For a long moment, Elena thinks he won't answer. Then, she fell in love with the wrong person. A rival family's son. They tried to keep it secret, but in our world there are no secrets. When my father found out, he forbade her from seeing him. She went anyway, and they used her both families as leverage against each other. She got caught in the crossfire of a war she didn't start. She died in my arms, signing that she was sorry. Elena's chest aches. How old was she? 22, the same age as you. Understanding crashes over Elena like a wave. That's why you helped me. Not just because I'm deaf, but because I reminded you of her. Yes, when I saw you standing there, water dripping from your face, trying so hard to maintain your dignity while those idiots laughed. I saw Sophia, all the times people treated her like she was less than human because she couldn't hear. All the times I should have been there and wasn't. Dominic's eyes are bright, but no tears fall. I know I can't save her, but maybe I can save you. Elena reaches out, places her hand over his. I'm not your sister. I'm not your redemption. I'm just a person who got caught up in something bigger than herself. I know, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm going to protect you. Even if I don't want to be protected? Even then. His hand turns under hers, fingers curling slightly around her palm, though I hope you'll let me try. The contact sends warmth through Elena's chest. His hand is large, calloused in places, but gentle. She should pull away. Should maintain professional distance from this man who's admitted to being a criminal. But she doesn't. Tell me about your rules, she signs with her free hand. You said you have rules about who you hurt. Dominic's expression softens slightly. No innocent people, ever. No women unless they're directly involved in the business and pose a threat. No children, period. No drugs. I've seen what they do to communities. No sexual crimes. Men who break those rules don't get second chances. You enforce this how? Permanently. Elena nods slowly. She should be horrified. Is horrified. But there's also something oddly comforting about his absolute certainty. His clear moral lines in a world that must be full of gray areas. What about good things? She signs. Do you do anything good? Define good. Help people. Make the world better. Something that isn't about power. Or money. Dominic considers this. I fund a school for deaf children on the South Side. Anonymously. I make sure small businesses in my territory don't get squeezed by corporate chains. I've prevented 3 gang wars in the last 5 years by mediating disputes before they escalated. Good enough? It's a start. Elena manages a small smile. So you're not completely terrible. No, just mostly terrible. I can work with mostly terrible. Something shifts in Dominic's expression. Interest, curiosity, maybe even hope. Can you? I don't know yet. Ask me again when I'm not sitting in a mansion hiding from Russian mobsters. Dominic stands, pulling his hand gently from hers. Fair enough. Teresa will bring you dinner. There are books, TV, anything you need. The grounds are safe to walk if you want fresh air. Just stay within the inner perimeter. You'll see the security fence. What are you going to do? Handle the Bratva situation. By handle, you mean? Dominic's expression goes cold again. Professional. By making sure they understand that threatening you was a terminal error in judgment. Don't kill anyone because of me. I won't kill anyone because of you. I'll kill them because they broke the rules. There's a difference. Elena isn't sure she agrees, but she's too tired to argue. Will you tell me? Afterward? What you did? If you really want to know, I do. I don't want to be protected by ignorance. If I'm in your world, even temporarily, I want to understand it. Dominic nods slowly. Most people don't want to understand. They prefer to pretend the ugly parts don't exist. I'm not most people. No. Dominic signs. And there's something warm in his eyes now. You're really not. He leaves then, closing the door softly behind him. Elena is alone in a room that costs more than she'll make in 5 years, in a house owned by a mob boss, protected from a threat she didn't even know existed yesterday. She should be terrified, should be planning her escape, should be calling the police. Instead, she's thinking about the way Dominic's hands moved when he talked about his sister. The pain in his eyes. The gentleness in his touch. He's a criminal. A killer. Someone who exists outside the law. But he's also someone who learned an entire language for his sister. Who pays rent for waitresses he barely knows. Who has rules in a world without rules. Elena doesn't know what to do with that. Doesn't know how to reconcile the danger with the kindness. So she does the only thing she can. She unpacks the small bag Teresa brought from her apartment while she wasn't looking. She takes a shower in a bathroom that has heated floors and a rainfall showerhead. She puts on pajamas that are softer than anything she's ever owned. And then she lies in a bed that feels like sleeping on a cloud, staring at a ceiling with no water stains, and tries to figure out how her life got so completely derailed in less than 24 hours. Outside her window, she can see security lights dotting the grounds. Men walking patrols. The visible signs of Dominic's world. She wonders what he's doing right now. Wonders if he's thinking about her. Wonders if she's making a terrible mistake by staying. Her phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. This is Dominic. Teresa gave me your number. Just making sure you're settled. Do you need anything? Elena stares at the message. A mob boss texting to check on her comfort. The absurdity isn't lost on her. She types back. I'm fine. Teresa has been very kind. Good. Sleep well. You're safe here. 3 words that shouldn't make her chest feel warm, but do. Thank you, she texts back. The response is immediate. Always. Elena sets her phone down, closes her eyes, and despite everything, the danger, the fear, the absolute insanity of her situation, she feels safer than she has in years. Because for the first time since she lost her hearing, someone sees her as whole. Not broken. Not disabled. Not less than. Just Elena. And somehow, that person happens to be the most dangerous man in Chicago. Elena wakes to sunlight streaming through windows she forgot to close. For a disorienting moment, she doesn't know where she is. Then memory crashes back. The mansion. Dominic. The Bratva. Her phone shows a text from Dominic, sent at 6 a.m. Handled the Bratva situation last night. Everyone from the diner is safe. I'll explain everything when I get home. Relief floods through her. She's reading the message again when Teresa knocks, bringing breakfast and news that Dominic will be back within the hour. When he arrives, Elena is waiting in the garden. He looks tired but unharmed, and the moment he sees her, his expression softens. He signs. It's over. The men who threatened you won't be a problem again. The Bratva has agreed to stay out of our territory. How did you manage that? Let's just say I reminded them why challenging the Costello family is a bad idea. His hands pause. No one will use you to get to me again. You're safe. And you? Are you safe? As safe as I ever am in this life. Dominic steps closer. But Elena, I need you to understand what staying with me means. There will always be threats, always danger. I can protect you, but I can't promise you a normal life. Elena takes his hands in hers. I don't want normal. Normal was lonely. Normal was invisible. With you, I'm seen. I'm valued. I'm loved. You are. More than you know. Then that's enough. The danger, the chaos, your world. I'll take all of it if it means I get you. Dominic pulls her close, his forehead resting against hers. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway. He laughs, then signs. I love you. Elena Martinez. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice. I love you too. Even though you're reckless and dangerous and completely insane. You're kind of insane, though. My kind of insane. They stand there in Sophia's garden. Two people from different worlds who found each other in the chaos. Elena knows there will be challenges ahead. Knows that loving a man like Dominic means accepting the darkness along with the light. But as he takes her hand and leads her back toward the house, toward their future, she's never been more certain of anything. She chose bravery when she could have chosen safety. She chose love when she could have chosen loneliness. She chose Dominic Costello, with all his complications and contradictions, and he chose her right back. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything, and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. 3 months later, Elena stands in that same garden wearing a simple white dress. Dominic is on one knee in front of her, holding a ring that catches the winter sunlight. He signs. Elena Martinez, you walked into my life when I had given up on, feeling anything but cold calculation and old grief. You made me want to be better. Will you marry me? Elena's hands shake as she signs back. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slides the ring onto her finger and kisses her as their small gathering of friends and family signs their approval. Later, alone in their bedroom, Dominic signs. No regrets? Not a single one. You? Never. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Elena curls into him. This man who learned her language, who protected her fiercely, who loved her completely. For the first time in her life, she feels exactly where she belongs. Not in spite of her deafness or the danger, but because she found someone who sees her truly and chose her anyway. Someone who would move heaven and earth to keep her safe. Someone who taught her that love isn't always soft and gentle, sometimes it's fierce and protective and comes wrapped in expensive suits and dangerous promises. Sometimes love is a mafia boss who knows sign, language, and makes you feel whole. Sometimes love is exactly what you need, even if it's nothing like what you expected. And sometimes, the most beautiful stories start with the worst days, with strangers who speak your language, with choosing bravery over fear. Elena Martinez chose bravery. Dominic Costello chose her. And together, they built something worth protecting. Forever. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.